Alright, so this is how this works. This model has the auxiliary heat. So you have two hots coming in to my 8 kilowatt auxiliary heat. And then my ground, which would be my white. Hot, hot, auxiliary. And this goes to a shut-off panel, and then it goes to my breaker panel. And I thought 60 was a little high, so I put a 50 in at the breaker box. Then the problem with hooking this up, I had to call a tech because the instructions are wrong. They have you take off the back panel, and then what they don't tell you in the instructions is you need to take the pieces off the back panel and put it on here so you can plug in to this wire, your wire right here. So you need the plug off that other one, the back plate that you removed to install the auxiliary heat, and then you can plug into that, and you can also plug in to that over there with your black and red wire over there. I believe that's CN14, and then your control for your auxiliary heat plugs into CN12 right there. And then you have your two hot legs coming in from your breaker panel, a 15 amp. White's hot, black's hot. I probably should put tape on that so it's labeled hot. And you have your ground, which is right here. This is my ground. And that goes to a 15 amp in the breaker. And then I have going to my compressor, my S1 and S2, and all dip switches are off on the compressor. And I ground out my shielded wire at the compressor. Which all that means is there's a little shield wire that goes to a ground screw, a ground screw. And then for your thermostat, all the thing else you need is a 7 wire hooked into your Y, and your, which the colors don't matter as long as they match the same ones on your thermostat. And then the only dip switches you have on in the air handler is S11. That's the only one that's on. S11, which is the very top one right there. S11 is on. That's the only one on. The rest are off. So all of the dip switches are off in the compressor, and only one dip switch, the S11, is on in the air handler. And then my wires are hooked up, which if I could read them off to you, it'd probably be helpful. We got CR W1 BO, I think it's Y1, Y2, and something else, C. But if you got any questions, just ask in the comments. This thing's simple to install once the instructions are right, but the instructions that came on this, excuse me, were wrong, so I had to call a tech, and he told me they messed up on the instructions, and this is how it's supposed to be done.